I'm very privileged to introduce Mr. Manish Tewari, the last speaker of Track 2, for an extremely interesting topic because we are talking of green, sustainability, IT sustainability, DevOps, DevSecOps, future 2030, 2040, 2050. And the topic for today's, the last session for Manish Tewari is blockchains for a greener future. So let me just introduce him. Currently, Mr. Manish Tewari is the founder of SIDRA.app, a low-code asset tokenization platform for enterprises. He graduated from IIT Varanasi 2005. He is a serial entrepreneur with 2 successful exits. He has 17 plus years of experience in solving deep tech-related problems. He founded KOOVS.com in 2009, raised more than $20 million and led the company to be listed in UK Stock Exchange in 2013 with $100 million valuations. He has lots and lots added to him. He has also founded Piggy Ride in 2019, raised $3 million USD and scaled the business to 15 plus countries. So a big round of applause and let's welcome him. He's already on the stage. Over to you, Mr. Tewari.
Hello. Yeah. First of all, let me start with a sorry. Actually, I was supposed to reach here 30 minutes before, but Bangalore traffic. Yeah. Okay. So I'm Manish. I'm founder of Spydra. Spydra is basically into blockchain technology, where we build low-code solutions for enterprises, typically for Web2 enterprises. And we are based out of Bangalore, and we have offices in Hyderabad and US. Yeah. So today's topic we are going to cover is how blockchain is actually revolutionizing IT, sustainable IT, and where are we, what are the challenges, and how are we going to mitigate them, and how does the future look like. Yeah. So let's take a step back. Let's first understand what exactly is blockchain. I am sure that you guys must have heard about Bitcoin, Ethereum, but then those are only one of the few use cases of blockchain technology. Yeah? These are the cryptocurrencies, but the blockchain technology has in itself a lot of potential. There are 3 or 4 main properties of a blockchain technology system. First, it is distributed and shared, which means that every node participant in the network will have the same copy of the data. It's secure because every transaction is digitally signed and mathematically guaranteed. Yeah? And third and the most important point is it's completely immutable, which means that any transaction which goes onto the blockchain is always in append mode. It's always insert mode. You can't update any data. So essentially, it makes the system very tamper-proof, fraud-proof. And these are the 3 or 4 fundamental parameters where it plays a big role in sustainable IT. What is sustainable IT? Yeah? So in very simple terms, it's basically designing, manufacturing, using, and disposing of IT systems, which can be your data storage, your laptops, your computers, in a responsible manner so that your carbon footprint is less, in very simple terms. There are 5 key components to sustainable IT. First is energy efficiency. How efficiently you are using the energy so that your footprint is less. Resources optimization. You want to use resources so that there is no redundancy of it, so that you can conserve your natural reserves. Ethical sourcing. I'll come to those points a little bit later, but just to set the context. Ethical sourcing is basically sourcing of raw materials and labor, wherein it has been sourced in environmentally and socially responsible manner. Disposal, you can say reusability. Reusability is basically where you are making sure that you are using almost all of the components which can be reused and disposing of all the wastage in a manner where it not leads to more or it pollutes more the environment. And the last is the green computing practices. Essentially, it means that creating data centers, a lot of right now technology is coming in where data centers are being built, which are almost using 70 to 80% less of energy, and using a lot of renewable energy sources. So these are 5 different components on which sustainable IT is built. But when you look at the current landscape, and this is from the market research, the businesses still lack the understanding of it. Even less than 50% of the organizations have some sort of sustainable IT, you can say practice, and even less than half of it know the actual how sustainable IT works. And even if they know it, they lack the tools for it. So there is a very, very big gap in terms of our vision, where we want to be. Now, how does blockchain plays a big role? Yeah. Decentralization, which is the fundamental tenet of blockchain. If there is a decentralization of resources, the resources can be optimized very, very, in a very efficient manner. One example I like to give is, if I don't know whether you've heard of Filecoin. Yeah, so Filecoin is a decentralized S3 of AWS. So let's say if you have laptops, you have servers, you have systems, and you have unused, let's say, memory left, you can join a network, and then you can get earning from it, and the storage can be used by the people. So it's basically using the same resources for different purposes. Same thing can be done for processors, GPUs. If you have left CPU or GPU, you can basically join the network, and people can use it, the same resources. So it enables more efficient sharing of it. When we look at the energy sector, yeah, and typically in terms of renewable energy, there's a lot of scope which blockchain can come in, which blockchain can bring in. And when we talk about the distribution of electricity, the wastage of electricity, blockchain can add a lot of value to it. If you look at the immutable structure part of it, many of the organizations have started using blockchain for compliances, for bookkeeping, because any record which goes in, it's difficult to change. So many organizations started using blockchain technology for compliances, for regulatory standards, and blockchain has thus started playing a big, big role. And there are different companies doing certain things in this. I don't know whether you heard of Hedera, which is another blockchain. So they have a Hedera ordering service, which is basically storing any data on blockchain, and then in future you can prove that this data wasn't changed. Yeah? So there are different companies who are doing something in this space. Now, let's explore how blockchain is actually revolutionizing supply chain. Yeah? So in a typical supply chain, how does it work? So there is you source your raw materials, you send it to the manufacturer, then it gets through a logistics partner and finally reaches the customer or retailers and then customer. And then finally, again, the product gets recycled, and again, there is a whole loop. Now consider this situation. All of these participants are sitting in silos. Nobody has no connection between any data. And let's replace it with a blockchain where every participant is a part of the blockchain. In the case of, let's say, where you're sourcing the raw materials directly, you can directly input the data on the blockchain. When you are sending to the manufacturer will basically input the data, how much raw material, how much carbon gases have been emissioned, how much water has been used, what is your environmental footprint while manufacturing this product. When you're shipping it to a logistic partner, it can be integrated with IoT, where that data again can be inputted using blockchain. IoT data, again, in very simple terms, there are many instances where you need to manage the temperature, humidity, and these different kind of environment things. Right now, everything is in silo. Blockchain basically brings everything on a single ledger. And then, if the information is on a single ledger, you can take a lot of decisions. And again, once the consumer gets a product, he can use that, he can scan the QR code and see the entire journey of the product, that whether this product, how it was sourced, whether it was ethically sourced, how much raw material has been used. So it gives him the confidence that the product was actually genuine, whatever they claim is actually correct. Apart from this, not only customers' confidence, it also improves a lot of management in supply chains, because end-to-end you have the complete traceability of the product, so managing supply chains also has become very, very easy. Few examples I'd like to give you how different organizations are leveraging blockchain in supply chain. Walmart is using specifically blockchain for their food supply chain to reduce food wastage, to bring more efficiency to the system. De Beers, which is the largest diamond company in the world, they have their own blockchain technology built where they're tracking the diamonds right from the mines to the end customer. And the biggest reason why they are doing it is they are doing it to track the blood diamonds, whether those diamonds are ethically sourced or not. If you look at India, Raymond's, I'm sure you might have heard of Raymond. So Raymond is using blockchain to track counterfeit in their whole supply chain. So in a way, when you have this data on a single ledger, it gives you a lot of different advantages. European Union has come up with a circular economy plan, which means that every item, which is either electronics, textiles, constructions, which will be manufactured out after 2025, will have a code from which a customer will be able to see the entire information. And it will be mandatory for all the products, not only so electronics, textile, and construction. So I had mentioned that how renewable energy is now being revolutionized by blockchain. So I'll take you through a case study, which is basically a Brooklyn microgrid project, which is in the US. What is the problem with a central grid? Yeah? First of all, it's because it's central, everything is controlled by them. If there's an outage, the entire system goes down. Also, there is a lack of transparency in terms of what is the demand, what are the bills, what is the consumption, and whatnot. Yeah? And if there's an excess energy produced, there is a wastage because finally, at the end of the day, the central grid has entire control. Now, let's replace it by a decentralized peer-to-peer sharing network. And that's what a Brooklyn microgrid project was. So the purpose of Brooklyn microgrid project was to enable solar panel owners to create electricity through obviously solar energy, and then if they have any excess energy also, to sell it to their peers. And they used blockchain technology to do that. Smart contracts have completely automated the complete buying process, whether it's price changes or demand changes. And because there are verifiable transactions of records which are going to blockchain, for any consumer or for buyer or for seller, it gives a complete transparent record of transactions. So it's a win-win situation for both the parties. And now, more and more people have started joining this. So this is basically a new kind of technology where these microgrids will be introduced. And it will not only enable the environmental aspect of it, but you being a part of the participant can earn from it also. So it became a very, very good example. The amount of solar offset which has been produced in the US in 2019 was around 73 million metric tons. So we can see that what kind of opportunity is there. Yeah? But when we look at the challenges, correct, I think obviously Bitcoin uses proof of work, correct, which is very, very energy consuming. Yeah? That the transaction per second is very, very less, and it consumes a lot of electricity. Ethereum has proof of stake, and then there is proof of delegated stake, then there are different kind of consensus algorithms. So it's not that blockchain doesn't have its own problems also. So there is still a lot of development needs to be done where blockchain itself consumes less energy. Now, another big problem, or maybe another roadblock in blockchain is that because the data is completely transparent, correct? Now, when we look at the transparent part of it, because all the participants can see the data, so you have to take a call that whether you want to be on blockchain, and you have to make sure, just because of the transparency, how do we maintain the secrecy part of it? There are still significant work being done in blockchain where zero-knowledge proofs have come in. There are concept of private chains, but still there's a lot of work required. The TPS anyways, we know because the way the blockchain was, it's not a database ledger, there's a consensus mechanism which happens, so the TPS is always limited. So that's where a lot of work is still going on. Another aspect where blockchain is still lagging around is how the blockchain layer gets integrated with different of the existing systems. So for example, let's say you have a supply chain company and they are using an ERP like SAP or Dynamics, but how does it get integrated with blockchain layer? That's where there is a lot of friction there. So there needs to be a development of tools, there needs to be development of processes, which makes the integration easy. Also, apart from everything else, the regulatory aspect of it still is not very, very clear in terms of when you're using blockchain. Typically in India, anything on blockchain is considered cryptocurrency. So still, it's a minefield if you start working in blockchain space. So a lot of those regulatory frameworks have to be built. Though India now has a blockchain strategy going forward, but then still, a lot of things are not very, very clear. Apart from this, when we look at the current India landscape, yeah. So I don't know if you're aware that India has got a lot of projects which are going on blockchain. The Digi Yatra which we use, correct? Digi Yatra is built on completely on blockchain, decentralized identity where they are using it. TRAI, the Telecom Regulatory Authority of India, uses blockchain to track DNDs, do not disturb calls which happen. Yeah. There are many POCs right now going on in India, in Tamil Nadu state government, Telangana state government, even Jharkhand state government are doing a lot of POCs on putting your property records on blockchain. So there's a lot of work happening actually in India. So when we look at the overall, how will this field evolve in terms of the sustainable IT and blockchain, I think this picture looks still very, very promising. The advent of AI and IoT integration can bring in a lot of automations. It can remove a lot of manual error, and it can drive sustainability to new heights. When we look at the energy sector, specifically energy sector, the smart grids, which will become a norm in future, will be built on blockchain technology, which will redefine how energy is being distributed. Yeah? And then will obviously lead on to bringing more, will bring a lot of value to sustainable IT. And when we look at the sustainable supply chains, I think every organization, be it in food, agri, or sustainable IT also, there is a concept, there is a supply chain. So IT's supply chain is consistently being redefined by blockchain, and not only in terms of the traceability part of it, but even the automations part of it. So now smart contracts are being developed, which can do a lot of stuff, not only in the tracking the product, but in the payment section, in the compliance, and everything being automated through smart contracts. So there's a lot of potential blockchain, lot of potential where blockchain can bring a lot of value into sustainable IT, and obviously create more new strategies, more new avenues where we can create a more equitable world for us. Yeah. So that's about me. Thank you.